Someone said the EBT rage is entertaining. I guess we'll cover the EBT rage. So, which is interesting because I wouldn't have known about all of this until literally the government shutdown exposed all of this shit. Like how absolutely vile the EBT system is. I think Americans need to understand. So, if you dig around online, so you'll find out a couple of things, right? Apparently, 16 states or so just cut off SNAP benefits in November. I think that's what it is. And the response, as you've seen the videos from the EBT NPCs, it tells you everything you need to know about what this program essentially created in America. So these guys, we saw the video, the threats for looting, people saying that they'll riot if they don't get their handouts, right? Generational welfare zombies, you need to understand, who've never worked a day in their lives. They're suddenly acting like society owes them food because they can't be bothered to get a job. I'm not shitting you. And the shutdown ripped the mask off this entire fucking disgusting system that's been bleeding all the taxpayers dry for decades, I may say, while enriching all the scammers and illegal immigrants at the expense of actual Americans, bro. This is what's so fucked. I'm going to hit you with some of these numbers because they blew me away. So it says, dude, the scale of this theft is so fucking massive. So most people can't comprehend this shit. SNAP cost American taxpayers $120 billion every single year to feed 42 million people. And according to the GAO, 11.7 billion of that just disappeared last year in fraud. That's 12% of their entire budget. It just got evaporated straight up through thin air, through scams. That's it. Gone. And that's only what they caught, may I remind you, because the real number is way higher, especially when you account for all of the fraud that goes unreported or undetected. Okay, so how does the fraud work with EBT? I didn't even know this was possible. This entire ecosystem of degeneracy where recipients sell their EBT cards, I didn't even know that was a thing, for cash at 50 cents on the dollar to buy drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. So essentially they're trading their, say, $200 in food stamps for $100 in cash. And then they're blowing it on vices while bodegas in the smoke shops are essentially processing these fraudulent transactions. And then they pocket the difference. And you have card skimming operations that clone the magnetic strips and drain balances before even legitimate recipients know what happened. And states like Pennsylvania and Illinois are hemorrhaging millions of dollars to these thefts with no way to recover the money because USDA stopped reimbursing stolen funds in 2024. So now states are eating the losses while the fraud is exploding. And then there's the insider corruption. Oh, come on. It gets worse. Trust me. And this is where it's really disgusting. So in May, they found out the USDA was busting one of its own employees for taking bribes to approve fake retailers for SNAP. This piece of shit enabled 66 million in fraudulent transactions by selling license numbers to phony stores for $36 million. It was the largest food stamp fraud in American history, perpetrated by someone inside the USDA who was supposed to be preventing fraud, not enabling it. I guess this is what passes for government service in Biden's America, right? Where the foxes are guarding the hen house and laughing all the way to the bank. Wow. Can you imagine that shit? And look, the fraud is just one thing, but the bigger scandal is who's actually getting the benefits and how the system's been weaponized to import dependency and crush American sovereignty. You want to get really mad? 59% of illegal immigrants are on SNAP. How is that possible? How does an illegal immigrant get benefits? So nearly 6 out of 10 people who broke our laws to come here are immediately signing up for taxpayer-funded food assistance. And the Biden administration made this possible by gutting work requirements and verification standards through the pandemic waivers. And then they never rolled those waivers back, even after COVID ended. So you got illegal aliens flooding across the border. They're getting loaded up on EBT cards, and then they're sending cash back to their home countries while American citizens, including our veterans, are getting denied or receiving pittance. There's a viral story going around right now about a veteran who gets $23 a month in food stamps, while an Afghan refugee had a $13,000 balance on his EBT card. If you think $23 versus 13 fucking thousand. It's acceptable. You've lost your goddamn mind. And this isn't even isolated, bro. When you look at the numbers, immigrant households are on welfare at shocking rates. Literally would shock any American if the media actually reported it honestly. They're coming to America not to assimilate or contribute, but to literally extract resources and remit wealth back home while Americans are footing the bill for their entire existence. That's not immigration, that's invasion, and it's subsidized by taxpayers and this whole EBT system. It's the financial infrastructure that makes this bullshit possible. Because without welfare magnets, you wouldn't have millions of people flooding across the border, knowing that they'll be taken care of the moment they arrive. And the Democrats built this on purpose. Do you know why? Because their entire political strategy depends on importing millions of these fucking dependent leeches who will vote for whoever promises to keep the handouts flowing. We know that. So they gutted the work requirements and then they eliminated the citizenship checks, right? They opened the fucking borders and now they're acting shocked that fraud exploded and costs skyrocketed and American citizens are getting screwed. What the fuck did you think would happen when you literally tell the entire world America will feed you for free if you just show up? And the beautiful part is watching them trying to defend this shit now that the shutdown exposed the whole fucking scam. Because they're going on TV, they're crying about hungry children, right? Oh, think of the hungry children. While they're conveniently ignoring that half of the fucking people on EBT are able-bodied adults who could work, but they choose not to. And the other half are fucking illegal aliens who shouldn't even be here in the first place. So when you ask them why taxpayers should fund $120 billion for people who wouldn't work or shouldn't be here, they call you heartless and then change the fucking subject, you racist bigot. That's the Democrat playbook. Import dependency, subsidize it with taxpayer money, attack anyone who questions it as cruel, and hope nobody notices that you're building a permanent underclass of voters who will never leave the plantation as long as all the checks are coming. Holy fuck, what a system they got going here. And the welfare leeches themselves are even more pathetic because you can watch these videos of people literally melting down over the shutdown, screaming about how they're going to starve, threatening to loot the stores, acting like the world is fucking ending because they have what? One more month to go? And then you have no more fucking free food? These are able-bodied adults in their 20s and 30s. You could get a fucking job tomorrow, but you would rather sit at home collecting benefits and complaining that society isn't doing enough for them? Fuck you. Literally, fuck you. Starve to death slowly. Fuck you and everyone like you. One woman literally went fucking viral. She was crying about how she can't feed her kids without EBT. And then the people, as the autistic internet does, they dug into her social media, dude. And they found posts about her fucking brand new iPhone. She went on vacation to Miami. Her nights out at the club, getting strange dick. So she's got money for luxuries, supposedly, but she can't afford food without government assistance? Priorities, I guess. And that's every fucking EBT zombie in America. They literally have the latest phones. Their nails are done. They've got nice fucking clothes. They got cars. Somehow they need taxpayers to buy their groceries because working is beneath them or too hard or whatever the fucking excuse that they tell themselves to justify being parasites. And the Democrats enable this shit because every welfare recipient guarantees a vote, bro. So they'll never cut the program, no matter how much fraud or abuse or waste, because cutting welfare means losing political base. And the GOP has been pathetically weak on this issue because they're too afraid of being called racist or heartless to actually cut these programs the way they need to be cut. Instead, they nibble around the edges and they work with the requirements, right, that have a million fucking exemptions here and some verification standards. They're a fucking joke, dude. They're a joke. Meanwhile, the system keeps growing and it gets bigger and the fraud keeps exploding and Americans keep getting replaced by imported welfare dependents who will fucking vote Democrat forever. And what really pisses me off about this shit, apart from the fact that I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, even if I'm staying overseas, I still got to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, right? Is the entitlement mentality. When this fucking shutdown cuts off benefits for one fucking month, dude, and the people are threatening to loot and riot and fucking break shit in the streets and they can't conceive feeding themselves without government, That's insane. That's not poverty. That's learned helplessness that got weaponized into a political constituent. Fuck all these people. These are the people that want to preserve the system that enslaves them. Fuck this system completely. Gut the entire program. It has to be completely redone from the ground up. So these EBT zombies, right? They've been conditioned essentially to see welfare as a right rather than like an emergency assistance, how it should be used. They treat it like a fucking paycheck. And like we owe them this paycheck. Instead of it being like charity, you should be grateful for while working to escape from. On top of that, you're an able-bodied adult who could easily get jobs and you choose not to. Why? Because what? Working for the government's a bad thing and our government is just going to feed you for free anyway for not doing anything? How fucked is that? The American dream now, according to progressives, is dependence on the government. That's a virtue, dependence. And the corruption goes way beyond individuals selling their fucking little cards for cash because you've got organized fraud rings running sophisticated operations where they fake social security numbers to get multiple EBT cards. They set up shell businesses to process all the fraudulent transactions. Then they bribe the state employees, right, for ineligible recipients. And then they launder millions through the system while taxpayers pick up the tab. There was a case in Baltimore where retailers stole 60 or 16 million through EBT fraud. Minnesota had a Somali autism scam that ripped off 14 fucking million by claiming fake disabilities. New York, same shit. Somebody got busted with like 3 million in trafficking. And these aren't small time hustles, dude. These are major criminal enterprises that are treating EBT like a fucking ATM system, right? And the federal government either doesn't have the will or the fucking competence to stop it, because stopping it would require admitting that the whole fucking system is like fundamentally broken. It just needs to be gutted completely. And I need to go off on the junk food angle. Okay, fine. Just fucking, why the fuck are these people allowed to buy food that isn't even food? Okay, this shit isn't even about nutrition anymore. It's subsidizing like corporate profits while what? Poisoning the poor with EBT cards? Why? They're used to buy soda, candy, chips, all the fucking garbage that's causing like obesity and epidemics, diabetes, all that shit. So taxpayers, we have to fund people that are literally being destroyed with our money so that they can go buy McDonald's, other fast food, colas, energy drinks, garbage. And we're funding through our money, these people, they're funneling everything to what? Big pharma eventually? Big corporations that are making billions? Big pharma is just treating all these diseases for millions of dollars caused by all this shit diets? Because if you didn't know, California just expanded the EBT to cover fast food. You can literally go to McDonald's or Burger King, wherever the fuck you want, because that's considered nutrition assistance in 2025, you guys. We're enabling people to eat fucking processed garbage at taxpayer expenses, and we're calling that shit compassion. And even Amazon gives EBT recipients discounted Prime memberships. Why the fuck does somebody on EBT need a discounted Prime membership? This isn't about feeding the hungry anymore. It's about creating captive consumers for corporations. And it's pretending to be charity. We're being fleeced and we're pretending we're doing something good. It's charitable. But what they're really doing is taking our money and funneling it to the top. What kind of country subsidizes people to eat themselves to death and calls it humanitarian aid? Yeah, right. But the children, think about the children. And the shutdown exposed how fragile this system is, this entire house of cards. Because when the funding stopped, states couldn't process benefits, right? People couldn't access their cards and the whole system seized. And we were revealed with the fact that 42 million Americans are completely dependent on the government for handouts just to survive. That is terrifying, dude. Because that means we created this permanent underclass that can't function without the state. And their one political demand is more welfare. How fucked is that? So guess what? The politicians who promise to cut it, they get voted out. While the politicians who promise to expand the welfare, they get elected. And the cycle continues until the country becomes bankrupt, apparently. This is how we govern nowadays with handouts. And the fraud is so fucked up because the Biden waivers, dude, that gutted the verification standards. That shit alone led to like over 50% in a fraud spike from late 24 to early 25. So we're seeing literally right now the numbers I'm quoting you in the headlines, literally the beginning of an explosion that's going to cost us tens of billions in the coming years, unless someone has the balls to actually fix this system instead of just throwing more money at it. Apparently that's the democratic way, right? Just throw money at a problem and yeah, nobody will suffer for it. Except the money never goes to the people. Somehow we lose it all. And after spending these humongous budgets, we get worse outcomes. And what, when you're watching these videos of these EBT zombies, what really makes my blood boil and everybody else is like so incredulous when you see this shit. It's so blatant now. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. The system is literally designed to fail because failure, it justifies spending. So you get more bureaucracy, you get more dependency, and the people running it essentially have no incentives to fix any of this shit because they benefit from the chaos. The fraud explodes, the cost is skyrocketing, Americans are suffering. And then the response from Washington is what? To demand more funding for the same broken program that created the mess in the first place? So you create a problem, blame your opponents, then you demand more money to fix it. And you pocket the difference and repeat forever. And anyone who tries to actually solve it gets attacked as cruel and heartless by the same people profiting from this dysfunction. I guess accountability is too much to ask, right? When you're dealing with the welfare industrial complex of the United States of America in 2025. I can't believe it took a government shutdown, right? A government shutdown revealing all of this in real time for us. And only because the money stopped flowing, we got to see who's actually dependent. They're stupid enough to show that they're going to commit fraud. They're showing us literally, we got to see how fragile the system is and the people that are dependent on the system and how entitled these cocksuckers have become. And the responses from Democrats crying about fucking cruelty, dude. Really? And demanding immediate restoration to benefits without any reforms. So you want us to keep paying for illegals? Because why? Your political fucking power depends on it, all right? Keeping people dependent. Do you know why? Because they don't have work requirements or citizen checks or fraud prevention, because that would reduce the welfare population. That costs them votes. And think about it. Where do you not need voter ID laws? Where do they have no voter ID laws? That's where most of these people are on these fucking programs. These are these EBT zombies, all these illegals. So then you give them handouts. You don't check them for citizenship. You import 20 million people. You send them to these sanctuary cities where they get to vote in the elections and create permanent Democrats. Isn't that insane? There's like only one way to fix this. And it's radical fucking surgery that we have to. You have to impose citizenship requirements. So fucking stupid that you could get benefits without that. Okay, biometric verification, so we can prevent multiple cars. Why do we not have biometric verification on this? Mandatory work requirements for all able-bodied adults. No exemptions. Okay, why are there exemptions for all this? Do something like grants at the state level or something like that instead of federal control, so locals can, I don't know, maybe tailor programs to their needs. And literally deport all the mass illegal immigrants who are exploiting the system. Just deport all of them, period. But especially the ones that are signed up for the welfare system. You can't have open borders and welfare states simultaneously, bro. It's one or the other. They both have to fucking go. Trump better move his fucking ass, okay? Either America becomes a nation of dependent fucking leeches or subjects that are ruled by this elite class, right? Who control every one of us with handouts. Or we reclaim this sovereignty, cut and gut all these fucking programs, or we're going to literally enable our own replacement. And the GOP has been too weak to make the choice. They're terrified of being called mean. So they'll cave to Democrats probably, eventually, who weaponize all this compassion. This is fucking retarded. For what? A permanent underclass, right? Who will never literally vote Republican. And they're threatening Republicans with that? Really? Who gives a shit? That's insane. But at least the shutdown, I have to say, at least the shutdown is now forcing the issue because people are seeing what happens when the money stops, which is shocking to all of us. And they're realizing that this dependence isn't fucking security, dude. And I hope the people on the program understand that you are never going to milk this forever anyways. Maybe they're too stupid. Maybe the vast majority of people on EBT are fucking retarded. I don't know, because they're willing to record themselves preparing to commit crimes and say they're going to rob stores, rob people in the parking lots, rob houses and shit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that shit. Do you understand that maybe welfare isn't compassion? Yeah. Maybe the system that was designed to help you, maybe it's actually trapping you in poverty and it's enriching scammers and foreign nationals at Americans' expense. Well, maybe. Are they realizing that? You have 66 fucking million in USDA insider fraud. That's literally the perfect symbol of this entire operation. It shows that the corruption goes all the way to the top, dude. This isn't people just selling on the corner fucking street their little $100 EBT cards. No amount of funding will fix a system this rotten. You just have to tear this fucker down, start over with actual accountability so you don't get to steal billions of dollars, millions of dollars, taxpayer money that, enable fraud, allow you to keep your job. You don't fucking go to prison, none of that shit. Because in Biden's America, at least, right? You got caught, you got fired, no criminal charges, no restitution, no accountability, nothing. Because holding, government employees responsible for this shit might discourage people from working in the government. We can't have that, huh? I hope they start gutting multiple programs permanently. Furloughs, permanent, no coming back, dude, no coming back.
EBT $4.99. Why are we getting blown out before the Miami trip? Why are we going for a Miami trip after having kids? This whole sequence is wrong. Skull emoji.
Brother, we have a specific section of the poor that literally have like a fraud scam mentality. They will not work. They think work is for suckers. They live on the taxpayer dime. These people are absolute fucking leeches, dude, and they're never going to get any better. That's like a brutal reality that people, it's like, let these fuckers starve. I'm sick of it, bro. You see fucking EBT recipients with smartphones, nice clothes, fucking cars. They're not poor, dude. This is supposed to be for poor people. They're just scamming the system because the system lets them. They don't have to verify anything. There's no eligibility here. It's not hard to get into this shit. Man, politicians don't want to be accused of kicking people off benefits, even though those people are fucking scamming pieces of shit. But Americans are now paying attention, thank God. And I hope they do. And the shutdown forced them to. And if you're on TikTok and all, I know you're seeing that shit. And I know you're seeing that you live in a country where the system literally is prioritizing foreigners over citizens. Scammers, bro. Scammers over honest people. You got vets that could only get $23. Fuck that. Fuck that. That's insane to me. Yeah. And someone said Snap is a tiny fish in the ocean. It's one of many, dude. If you could imagine a pool with a bunch of minnows, just tiny fish everywhere, almost every single fish is corrupt. Almost every single fish is causing us to lose money. Every system is getting picked apart. Full of rife with corruption, dude. It's insane. I don't even know if you could say there's government programs that are decent, that are operating efficiently and actually bringing money back in. Now that's interesting. So someone said they will give EBT back, but you will have to sign up for digital ID. I don't want digital ID. It would be funny if they made poor people sign up for digital ID that want to get EBT and benefits and fucking track the shit out of them. But then, the issue is it never stops there. So eventually all of us will be put on digital ID because they'll use poor people as like a test group. So no thanks.